So glad that you are here. I hope you'll take a moment to just acknowledge what you've accomplished. I often like to say, you did the hard part. You got to the mat. And I think too often we don't recognize what an achievement that is, the tapas or resolve that it makes, whether it's agreements that we need to make with other people in our life to make that happen, all the other scheduling of things. So it's really, really marvelous. And my hope and intention for you always is that this practice supports everything else that you do off the mat, all the ways that you show up for your life, for other people, for what your world asks of you. So, as always, please make this practice your own. Take and edit what I'm offering. We're doing a flow practice tonight, and I'm also really intending to kind of lubricate our whole body because right now it's really cold, and a lot of us aren't getting a lot of movement like we might normally. And really, throughout the whole year, throughout the seasons, often people have periods of stagnation. So, I want you to notice if there are certain things that just feel great, and consider doing them again tomorrow. Make use of them, not just right here for this, hour and 15 minutes on the mat. We're actually going to start off standing. So when you're ready, if you'd come on up and go sideways on your mat, maybe angle your mat so that it's easy to see the screen even when you're in downward dog and things, so you're not facing directly on. An angle can be really nice. And please go ahead and get an athletic stance and just sort of take a few moments exploring your knees, just going down and up. Yeah. And I have my hands on my thighs initially because that way, if I have a knee that's kind of like, oh, I wasn't ready for that, I'm ready to support myself on the way up. And then as you're ready, just a little sinking in and asking you to take that right arm and reach up and really shrug. Work to get your entire shoulder joint as high as you can. And then anchor your shoulder blade down. So I want you to find that full range of motion of up and down. And as you're going, if you feel any kind of tightening in the neck, then always adjust what you're doing. We want to love our neck throughout our practice. And let's find the other side. And reaching, pausing to see if you can actively shrug more deeply, and then drawing down on feeling that anchoring where the shoulder head draws down the back body is really important for our yoga practice, to be safe, to build the right muscles, especially when we're doing any dog series. If the shoulder isn't anchored, we're using the wrong stuff and we're putting our joints and our back at risk. And just notice if that side is different and let it go. Good. We're just going to roll the shoulders back and forward. Nice. And then I'm going to invite you to take your hands around your neck in a little collar. So I'm not gripping. I've just got my fingertips meeting at the back there as a support, around which I'm going to circle my head like a very slow top. If you're lucky, you maybe even get some free little adjustments in there. If you'd like to add a little power to it, you can kind of let your hands settle towards, or your head settle towards one hand, and then take the other hand and kind of engage up, kind of under the occipital ridge. So you can also use the fingers right here at the back to kind of press. Nice. And then I'm going to ask you to take your hands on your chest, and if you've got contact with skin, all the better. And as you're ready, please deep inhale through the nose as you draw the hands down. You're kind of pulling on the skin of the chest. Reach the chin up. Is there more? Exhaling, return your head to neutral and just sigh. Good. Inhale, reaching the chin up. Nice. Let's do one more. And as you can kind of move your head I think of it as sort of a weeble wobble, just nice and organic. And we want to get to a place where our neck feels really free right here, but also when we're in our postures. So we want to get away from any of that holding and check in that the neck is nice and soft. So again, nice little athletic stance. We're going to return to the arm reach. This time, inhale, sweep the right arm up. Nice shrug. And now exhale, slowly pull down like you're pulling on a heavy rope and you're engaging deeply the shoulder, head, and blade down. And I'm hoping you're feeling this in that lat muscle, side body, which is a huge part of our core. And remember, this is yours. Amend it. You can sigh throughout our practice. You can go, oh, because you just got some good stagnant energy that this motion is moving. One more. Nice. Other side. Inhale, sweep up. Is there more? Get that nice shrug going. Exhale, draw down. So let's begin to engage those tools of introversion, as I call them. So your eyes are either closed up and in towards the third eye, or you've got it open in a soft drishti gaze. So you might be sort of gazing at the floor in front of you. Light connection, tip of the tongue, roof of the mouth, behind the front teeth. Last one, is there more? And add that ujjayi throat contraction. It's great for getting us into that core body. Love it. Maintaining your feet nice and wide like that athletic stance. I'm just turning so you can see me. I want you to do a little hip pump with me. Bring those butt muscles into a little bit of support so that as you exhale and come up, they're the ones working. In other words, if you're tilting your butt back in an arch, these muscles won't do the work of coming up. Make sure that tailbone's a little tucked. And we can add arms. So we're squatting and reaching forward. Nice inhale, exhale. Butt and thighs bring us up. Standing hip pump and squeeze those shoulder blades towards each other. Always checking that your neck is easy. A couple more. This is a great place to warm up the joints, but also notice if, again, there are any kind of glitches. And pause upward. Bring your fists around to the base of the spine there. I've kind of got mine right on that sacral triangle. Shoulder head squeeze back. So you've got a shoulder blade sandwich. And inhaling, press the hips more forward and reach the heart up. And if it feels good, reach up through the chin. Exhaling, coming on forward, ragdoll, and let that head hang. You might give it a yes shake, a no shake. And if you feel easy in your spine, awesome. If you can feel some pull, then that's, again, your heads up to really take care of your upper back during our practice, not overdo it, do the easier versions, and so on. And so right here, please bend the knees more deeply so you can have the hands on the floor, or you could be doing this hands on thighs. We're doing a little cow-cat here. Inhaling, draw the heart forward. Exhaling, cat back. And you kind of straighten the legs a little bit too if you want. Inhaling, arching forward, keeping your neck comfortable and neutral. Exhaling and round. Is there more? Is there more? Inhale. Is there more? Exhale. Last one here. Good, and now take those feet wider out into your straddle and begin moving side to side really slowly. This is such a great stretch. You might even reflect, is this the first time today that your feet have been wider than your hips? Notice how good that feels. Notice the areas that are tight and restricted. And if you're able to, as you go to one side, you can even kind of drop your butt to the heels and let that other leg extend and flex. Again, this doesn't always work for everybody, but you could be doing even a more upright version. And holding all the way to one side, reach as far away as you can from your other foot. So I'm all the way to the right, and I'm going to reach my left hand away from my left foot. Just trying to get all the way to that one side. Deep breath. And other side. Ideally, in almost every pose, we feel the breath kind of lifting and settling our body, like an object on gentle waves, as I think of it. And back to center. Good. Go ahead and walk those feet in a little bit and drop the butt. Inhale, root and rise up. Again, big glute squeeze. Exhaling, prayer hands. Pause, please. Thumbs connecting right there at the sternum and heart space. And just tune in to the breath, your heart rate. We're going to step wide again, right out into our full straddle. And turning the right foot 90 degrees, let's take a moment to explore our Warrior Two Lunge. As you're kind of pulsing yourself higher and lower in the lunge, check it out that your knees tracking with that right foot. And I promise we're not going to hold here long for this moment, so I want you to go as deep as you can. Get powerfully anchored through that back foot. You're pushing with these thigh muscles. Inhaling, sweep that right arm up. Keep your head neutral if your neck does not like gazing up. Big inhale and then exhale. Come on up. Straddle. Other side. Go ahead and scooch, pulse, investigate. A reminder, we need those thighs externally rotating in order to be stable in the pose. So if your thigh bone's at an angle, that's a good clue that you're not using that left butt cheek to engage towards the right edge of the mat. Good. Go as low and deep as you can, maybe even with that front knee. Power in that back leg. Inhale, sweeping up through that left hand. And release. Good. Walk those feet in a little bit. Fold yoga mudra, intertwining the hands behind the back. Now remember, if clasping those hands doesn't work great for you, go ahead and grab a strap or a scarf. Even if you're able to clasp the hands, I will say that the scarf can give you so much freedom. It can be really fun. And if you're able to, for a few more breaths here, rotate. So rotate your rib cage to the right. Take a deep breath. Rotate rib cage to the left. Deep breath. Pressing those fists away from you. And release. Nice. Bring those feet in a little. Root and rise. Exhaling. Prayer hands. Heart connection. Feeling palm to palm. This moment, this body, this breath. We're going to do sort of our standing thread the needle pose. I'm going to sweep my right arm out behind and then across my body. And so I'm just doing some nice rotations. Oh. And then as I'm ready, I'm going to cross the right arm and press with my left hand right at about the elbow. If you go higher than that, you're not going to get the stretch. We can add to the stretch by rotating just a little down to the left. And that should bring the stretch kind of into that right rib cage area. And again, the breath is the change agent, as I like to think of it. So applying breath in every shape. Whew, and release, kind of toss it away behind you. Inhale, sweep out with that left arm and cross. And again, the more you can make this a whole body experience, using those thighs. Again, most people are not doing a lot of movement right now, and that's actually really hard on our bodies. Last one, and cross. So as I'm pressing at the elbow, I can also kind of press away with the back of that left hand, essentially just making sure that my arm stays straight, and that will intensify that stretch through the shoulder. And I can also rotate down a little to the right. I can kind of pull a little with my right hand as well. Breathe, enjoy. And as you're ready, toss it away behind you and release it. We're going to come on down to our back body. And I want to use this as our place to really anchor in deep breath, because if you've had a big day and your breath has been kind of shallow, it can be very hard to re-find that slow, abiding breath that is really at the center of our well-being. So you might lay with your feet flat on the floor. That's going to give you more lower back comfort in general. And some of you will really enjoy corpse pose. So up to you. But we're going to be doing compression and expansion. So gather a long inhale through the nose. If you're stuffy, you can obviously do mouth breathing instead. Is there more? Exhaling, engage the abdomen towards the spine towards the floor, and even add a perineum engagement. That's that pelvic floor engagement. Is there more? Can you draw down more firmly? When there's nothing left, inhale. Witness the breath filling your space. At the very end, expand it, sip in a little extra. And continuing, exhaling compression. The other thing I love about this exhale, compression, inhale, expansion practice, which I made up, is that it's an opportunity to retrain yourself if you're one of those people that uses your neck whenever you're trying to do anything. So power down through that abdomen so firmly that it kind of tilts the pelvis up, but stay completely gooey through your neck. So you can roll your head side to side and check in with it. A few more. Big Buddha bellies on the inhales. On the exhales, you might even add touch with your hands to tell the areas that you want to wake up, particularly this low abdomen above the pubic bone between the hips. These muscles are a huge part of what helps us sit upright, by the way. So if you tend to sit with your back really arched or kind of slouched, you're not using these muscles. So I want to wake them up right here. Let's do 3 more. If you'd like, on the exhale compression, go ahead and add rock pose, just tightening the whole body. You might squeeze the hands into fists, arms into the sides, shoulder heads down, butt cheeks, thighs. You can even scrunch up your face. Inhale, soften and receive. And this is to your breath timing. If you ever find something that just feels so good like this, you might keep doing it even after I've moved on, right? You can't get ditched. You just catch up when you're ready. Let's do a couple more. Exhaling compression with or without rock pose. If you'd like, you could add a little sit-up motion, lifting the lower body and the upper body like you're trying to look at your toes. Is there more? Is there more? So even though I'm engaging so much power in my center body, my eyebrows are soft, my tongue is just lightly connecting. Maybe you're smiling a little bit. And release. Inhaling, right knee comes in, release wind pose. So you're bringing the knee into the belly, using the hands to hold here. And you've got the option here to just breathe and witness that relationship between the abdomen and the thigh. If our belly isn't moving during breath, then we're missing out on the real bliss breath, if you will, that can take us out of our sympathetic nervous system and into the parasympathetic, which is where we want to be most of the time. If you want to add a little more power to it, you can come into a little sit-up motion again. Left leg lifting, shoulder head stay anchored. Let's do one more round, your version. Release the spine and take that right leg straight up to the sky. Point, flex, roll. And we're going to do a leg release for a nice core work here. If you know that you love this with both legs, take the other one up as well. If you're using both, squeeze them tight together. Big inhale. Exhale, root through that same anchoring you did in your compression and either slowly taking both legs. It's like you're trying to reach the opposite wall with your heel, or you're just using one. Neck stays soft. When you reach the floor, practice melting everything. Inhaling left knee and release wind pose. Shoulder heads are anchored. Breath is moving slow, deep, and wide. And if you'd like, add a sit-up motion. Emptying, emptying. Is there more? I use that "is there more" phrase with myself, and I offer it to you because I find that otherwise it's really easy to kind of space out and not really notice if the breath is complete. So that way we stay mentally connected, watching for that beautiful gap or pause between the breaths. Last one there, and take the left leg to the sky. Again, you might want to briefly point, flex, and roll. Single or double leg, inhale. Exhale, root. And slowly reaching the heels towards that wall in front of you. Relaxed in your neck. And witness when you arrive at the floor, melt everything. All right, we're going to do one more activity here to really wake up our center body and release any stresses. We're going to do our abdominal pumping. So gather a long inhale. Exhale, empty, and hold out. Do not breathe. Draw the belly in and push out. In and out. This is going to make any meal that you have be that much more amazing. And when you need to breathe, let the pumping go. Let's do one more. So empty the breath completely. And as you draw in, pause and see if you can draw in a little more. Like imagine that you're trying to bring your stomach in up under your ribs. Oh, and let it go. Nice work, folks. We're going to come into spinal rocking, although you can get there however you want, to come onto our hands and knees. I want you to actually take your hands and your knees and your feet wide, kind of out to the edges of the mat. We're going to curl the toes under. We're coming into something called bear pose. And so it's kind of like downward dog, except we have our knees really bent. Nice, intelligent hands, fingers spreading. Little cow-cat movements. And when you're ready, strong core, taking your hips up and back. Let the head hang. And we're going to do a couple of different things here. And I want you to do it really slow so that you can notice what's happening in your shoulders. First, shoulder heads anchor away from the ears and down the back body. So you feel all that space between the head and the shoulders. Maintain that as you kind of come forward with the body like you wanted to bring the shoulders over the hands. And then exhale, press back again. And do this a few times. You don't even have to go very far. Just come out of your deepest stretch and return back. As we're here, please practice really using those low abdominal muscles as well as the rest of the core body to be the thing that draws the hips up and back. So it's not even the shoulders' responsibility. Good. One more. Good. And then come forward, pause, And just see if you can release that left hand and return it. Right hand and return it and release. We're going to come into thread the needle. Inhaling, rotate that right arm up. You could also rotate the wrist for a nice release. Exhaling, down and through. Again, this is to your breath. Is there more? One more and hold. Some of us will enjoy just keeping that left hand directly in front of the face to kind of rotate the torso more deeply away, or clasping the right wrist and kind of drawing the chest into the back body. Plant that left hand and return to your table. Inhaling, left arm sweeps up. Exhaling, down and through. So this is a great place to practice letting this primarily be about your core strength, that we're not just sinking with gravity, right? We're defying it with our amazing abdominal muscles and our breath. Holding in thread the needle here, maybe clasping that left wrist, maybe using that right hand. You can also even do partial bind here if that appeals. Let the breath take room. One more long inhale, exhaling, return to your table pose. We're going to be coming into downward facing dog from here. And remember, you can always do some standing versions, right? If we're getting into too much wrist and shoulder stuff for what your body wants tonight, you could play with just hanging out in puppy, for example. Send those hips on up, downward dog. Now bring the feet close together, no more than a few inches. Shoulder heads anchor, bend the knees a little bit. Use that belly, draw those hips up. Yeah. Now work the heels towards the floor without giving up that beautiful straight line from hands to hips. We're not hunched. Good. Now slowly take the right leg flying. If you notice that you leaned or gave up your integrity in the arms, bring it back down. Hold one more breath. It's as if you really wanted to touch the wall behind you. Good. Exhaling, bring that right knee into your chest and place your right foot. Lower the left knee and inhale, sweep up. Deep abdominal breath. Maybe you want to take a couple of breaths here. Remember, you can neutral the neck. And on an exhale, plant the hands, downward facing dog, right leg flying again. Take it on up. This time, bend the knee and kind of open that right hip up. As you do, keep pushing with your arms and see if you can look under your right armpit. So you're kind of letting your left arm lower and right shoulder get higher. And slowly bring that right foot forward again. Same thing, knee down lunge. Left knee plants, unless that bothers your knee, in which case you stay on your foot. Deep breath. I'm hoping you're getting breath way down here into the psoas muscle and hip flexors. And slowly release, right leg flying one more time. Inhaling, maybe you want to open up that hip, totally up to you. Exhaling, bring the right knee forward for pigeon. So nice core support as you settle on into that. You could also go to the back body for reclined pigeon. Either way, folks, we want to move a little right and left. So it's like you're treasure hunting, as I think of it in pigeon. You're looking for the stretch into the piriformis, and you might feel it other places, IT band in your thigh. As long as it's not bothering your knee, we're finding good stuff. Can you rest your head on your fists or right on the floor? And I ask you to witness the movement of breath in your body. Notice where you can feel it touching you, moving you. And I'm going to add a little in and out, little kind of breath of fire here through the nose. When you're ready, nice long inhale. And rapidly in and out. And then a big inhale, exhaling through the mouth with a sigh, an ah, a woo, whatever. If you're on your back, you could do a little windshield wipering with your knees before doing the other side. We're going to come onto our hands here for a little, what we call kind of waking pigeon. And I just encourage you to twist a little right and left. So my elbows are bent, so I'm not in a deep back bend. I don't want to be twisting and in a back bend like that. Just nice exploration. Oh, and as you're ready, you might come onto table to release that right leg, or you can do it in dog. Give it a little kick behind, maybe rotate through the hips. Good. Inhaling cow pose, exhaling cat pose, downward facing dog for this series on the other side. So again, you could be doing this in table instead if you want to have less weight on your hands. Let's slowly take that left leg flying. Pause. What's happening in shoulders, elbows? We love the weight deeply in the kind of inner palm of the hand, so base of thumb and index finger. Soft drishti gaze on the mat between the feet. Good. And slowly bring that left foot forward. I say slowly because we want to use our muscles, not just sort of wing ourselves through space. Send those hips forward, heart forward. Yeah, reach up and breathe. Just a note that in this knee down lunge, we always want that front knee directly above the heel, just as we do in all of our other warrior work. Exhaling, plant the hands, step back, downward facing dog, left leg flying. Take a rest anytime you need to. We're going to open that left hip up. I'm going to check that I'm working through both arms, and you might be able to gaze under the left armpit. Nice big inhale and exhale. Neutral it out. Bring that left foot forward, knee down lunge. When you raise your arms up, notice if you're gaining neck tension and just don't go as high. You might reach upward through the heart. That can really intensify that low belly stretch. One more. Exhale, plant the hands, downward dog, left leg flying. Long inhale here, maybe opening that hip again. It's like you're trying to reach your knees as far apart from each other as you can. Then neutral it out and bring that left knee forward behind the wrist or coming to back body for pigeon alternate. And come on down onto your elbows, forearms, maybe stacking fists for the head. We just want the neck to be relaxed. So those of you, if you're on your back doing this, keep in mind that the neck should be relaxed so that the shoulders are anchoring down the head, down the body, I mean, and the head's not doing any work. Letting breath rise and settle. You might be able to use that right foot to pull your body a little further back on the mat, thereby deepening the stretch. And let's add our bellows breath here. So if there's been any stress in your belly, your chest, we really think of those as kind of our emotional center. This is a great time to just really fluff it up. Nice long inhale, rapid in and out through the nose. And then a big inhale. Be still a moment. Notice. Then coming up to waking pigeon, or if you're on your back body, again, you might do some windshield wipering or spinal twisting. And I just love playing here, getting kind of low and noticing how that feels in my upper back and my neck. Oh, when you are ready to release, either table or dog, send that left leg on its own journey to release the knee, the hip. Nice. And planting those hands again in your table pose, but I'm going to ask you to come forward one hand length, and we'll see if that's about right in your body. We actually want to do a little knee down upward dog. Another way to do that is to come to plank and get that hand to foot distance, drop the knees. Inhale, drop the pelvis forward and draw the heart forward. Exhaling. Press back child's pose, keeping those arms extended. So I'm taking the heels back towards, or butt back towards the heels. Inhaling forward, knee down, upward facing dog. Exhaling, belly to spine takes you back. Good. Let's do one more like that. Shoulder heads are anchored, neck is soft. Hold here with those hands as far forward as they can be while the butt's as far back, and gather a deep breath. Good, nice core support here. Come on up to your table. We're going to do a little resistance stretch that I've been introducing in recent weeks that people have found really helpful. It's so quick, but really is effective. So you're going to just come down. Let's take our right forearm onto the mat and move it just a little towards the center of the mat. Shoulder heads anchor. Gather a long, beautiful inhale. Exhale, I want you to traction, pressing down through the right forearm and as if you're pulling back towards your knees. So I'm engaging very deeply as I now take my butt back towards the heels. It won't probably go that far and doesn't need to. Inhale, return. Traction, pressing the forearm down and towards my knees as I slowly settle the butt back. Good, let's do one more. And I really enjoy at the very end of that, kind of just letting myself settle into it, letting go of the tractioning, but just letting my weight sink with gravity and getting kind of an extra stretch through the tricep and shoulder. Let's do the other side. So left forearm is on the floor. I'm on my right hand. I'm tractioning down and towards the knees. Nice long inhale. Exhaling, tractioning and slowly sending the butt back. And if you can be in core support here, all the better. In other words, I'm not hanging. I've got all of that drawing of the ribs back towards my spine. Inhaling neutral, exhaling, tractioning and sending the butt back. One more. And release. Awesome. We're going to come onto our back for bridge pose. Invitation for those of you who like to really explore yoga mudra once we're in the pose. It's a marvelous counter stretch to some of what we've just done. Go ahead and plant your feet. Inhale, exhale, work the shoulder blades towards each other and come on up into your pose. Now your pose might be kind of pulsing, pressing a little up and down, or holding in that most vigorous version, really trying to create that arc. You might be adding those yoga mudra hands beneath, or even just having the hands on the floor. See if you can work the shoulder heads more deeply beneath you. Lift the chin up and back for neck ease. Think about those thighs squeezing towards each other and gathering about 3 more breaths here. If that's too much, come out entirely or just come down a little bit. Sending the knees away from you, the heart up and back. Deep Ujjayi. One more. And come down, please, as slowly as you can. And knees to belly. Good. We're going to take those legs wide in a straddle. So I really like just having my hands kind of behind the thighs, knees, calves, wherever is comfortable for some support, some connection. You could also always use a strap, of course. But I'm going to ask you to just hold here a moment and kind of play with pulsing to straighten the legs and then bend them a little bit. And if you can't get them completely straight, don't worry about it and don't struggle. But see if you can talk to those quad muscles to straighten those legs. Yeah, good. Now, holding there, long inhale, exhale, sitting up and pressing through those thighs. Now, if this bothers the neck, then you take the hands behind the head. Good. Inhale. Is there more? Exhale, anchor, and anchor like you do during compression breath, and see if you can even get your pelvis to tilt up a little bit. If this leg thing's bothering you, bring the feet flat, by the way, because it's a lot on those hip flexors. One more time. And release. Awesome. Bring those legs back out into straddle with me and play with half straddle. So you're bringing one heel towards the butt, straightening the other leg out. Some of you might be able to make a connection with the big toe or blade of the foot. It doesn't matter if you ever do, but it can feel nice if you're able to reach that. It gives you, again, a little something to press against. Good. One more round. And then we're going to stretch ourselves the opposite way in pre-bow bow. Those of you who prefer the standing quad stretch, then you're just going to come right up to mountain. Otherwise, spinal rock to seated, or however you want to get there, and come on down. Shoulder heads anchor and the butt cheeks engage. This is true whether you're in the standing version or here in pre-bow bow. So bending one knee and reaching back for that ankle, then the other. And that usually brings our knees a little apart. Bring them back towards each other. Flare those yoga toes. Make sure the butt is anchoring. That protects our low back. Nice deep breath. On your next inhale, engaging the ankles into the palms and letting it draw our heart forward and open. So you're pressing your ankles back towards the wall behind you and just letting the head be neutral. In and out, a couple more times. And release. Settling, you might just place the hands and rest the head there or on the mat. And inviting you to just rock the hips side to side. Interestingly, this position not only just feels good muscularly, but has also been shown to help initiate the relaxation response. So again, really calming our nervous system from any stresses we might have been experiencing. When you're ready to move on, resting on the forehead, fingertips tent, anchor the pelvis, and your version here. So I'm going to ask you to breathe in and out. Maybe you're just extending through the spine on the inhale. Maybe the hands reaching and maybe the legs as well in a full locust pose. If you want that full locust reach, go ahead and bring those arms forward. Sometimes we call this Superman. Good. One more. And release. Plant the hands, keep those glutes engaged as you make your journey. Press back, downward facing dog. And again, remember your knees never have to be straight in downward facing dog. And what we really want is that beautiful long line, palm to hips. Think about those low belly muscles. We're going to activate them right here. In fact, if this is too much, remember you'll do a table version. Right leg flying. If it feels good, you can open it up. On your exhale, we're actually going to bring that right knee across towards our left elbow or tricep. Hold. My hope is you're really feeling this in your right waistline. Empty the breath and then inhale, release. Good, we'll do that twice more. Again, you might be on hands and knees. If this bothers you entirely, you can always do more sit-up motions on your back body. One more. Exhale. Empty, 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 empty. And release. Inhaling, coming into your plank. Now, I recommend dropping knees, especially if you've not been doing plank already today. You don't know where your body's at. Exhale, chaturanga. Remember, your elbows might just bend 1 inch, or maybe you're holding even with the elbows. Dropping to the floor, inhale, cobra. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Or again, you might move to child's pose or moving into table. Inhale, left leg straight up and back. Maybe you open up the hip. This is your body. This is your practice. Love it every minute. Cross that left knee over towards that right elbow. Hold. Remember, you need to keep pushing the floor away here. Yeah. Inhaling up twice more. So it's almost like I'm coming into a cat back to make this happen. And my hope is you're really feeling the lat muscle engagement. So make sure that shoulder head's down. Last one. And release. Awesome. Releasing onto your knees and butt back by heels if you can. If this doesn't feel good, then you'll just do a standing version. In either version, you're going to roll out those wrists because we've been using them a little bit. And then we're just going to bring the hands back once again by that sacral triangle. And again, kind of work our shoulder blades towards each other. And send the pelvis forward and neutral. And I just want you to pulse there a moment. And feel now as you hold that deep engagement of the pelvis forward. And if you'd like, send one arm flying and reaching up and back. So often in a back bend, we take our head up, but that can really tighten the front of the neck. So I'd encourage you to keep the chin connected down towards the chest. And go neutral and other side. Pelvis forward, other arm reaching up and back. And again, you might be doing this kneeling. Let's do one more set. And release. We're going to plant the hands again. Inhaling cow. Exhaling cat to downward dog. I'm actually going to be taking us into warrior. So if you want to skip the dog leg flying part, just go to your mountain pose at the front of the mat. Those of us in downward dog, send our right leg flying. If you're at the front of the mat, you're in standing crane, left knee lifted. And we're going to meet at the front of the mat with that right foot in our crescent lunge. Good. Nice core support. Right hip bone back, left hip bone forward. It's almost like we're scissoring those thighs so we feel really connected. And now I'm going to scissor my arms. So if you need to adjust, if being in the lunge this long is too much, you could do this in standing. But I'm just going to start kind of slicing or scissoring those arms. Breathing. One more. And the next time your left arm is up, go ahead and spiral it back into your warrior two. Remember that pulse we did early on in our practice? Go ahead and kind of find that again and then settle. Feel your heart rate. You might open the palms, platter hands. You also might rotate to look behind and then forward. The more organic you make this, follow your body's inspiration, the better. On a long inhale, straighten that front leg and reach up. So The waistline here wants to be long, even the back waist, and it's really tempting to kind of collapse it because we think we're doing a bigger stretch, but we want to stay long and lifted through that left rib cage. One more long inhale, then exhaling, flowing forward, either elbow to thigh, or maybe you bring hand to floor or to a block. Make sure that your butt does not move out behind, that you're still in that nice flat formation. And again, lots of chances here to ask the body what it would like most. Is it reaching out beyond the head? Is it coming into a partial bind, straight up to the sky? Enjoy one more long inhale. And exhale, plant the hands, step back to your downward facing dog. I'm going to ask you to notice what your body needs here. You might be like, oh, I am so ready for resting, or I'm revved up for flow. Inhaling to your plank, knees or feet, shoulder heads anchor. We're in that same nice pushing the floor away pose that we've been in. Nice slow, low chaturanga. And either settling hips for cobra or being on the feet for upward dog. And exhaling, downward facing dog. Settling breath, gaze between the feet. And you're either staying in dog, flying left leg, or meeting at the front of the mat for your standing crane, right knee lifted. Pause, breathe, and move from your breath and core. Left foot forward, right foot back. Right hip bone forward, left hip bone back. That nice scissoring of the thighs. And you could once again join me in slicing the arms. It can be kind of fun too to play with doing it directly to the side of the body. Creates a little more balance challenge in this lunge that we're in. Breath, slow, deep, and wide, even as these movements are happening. And remember, the arms don't have to be tight to the head or straight above the shoulders. The next time that right arm is up, let it bring you open into your warrior two. Pulse. Explore. Feel how strong and fluid your body is right now. I'm hoping you feel a little heart rate going on like I do too. It feels good if we've been really stagnant and sitting a lot to have all these parts of our body waking up. On a long inhale, Exalted Warrior, reaching up. Again, check in with that back rib cage. The breath often will tell us if we're in the best pose. If the breath feels kind of constricted, we probably need to give it more space. And slowly into your lateral stretch or side angle stretch. So it might be elbow to thigh or left hand to the floor, somewhere in between. Make sure you still feel the power of that back leg. So it's from there that I'm generating all this core support. And release. Step back. Invitation for one more dog series if you're hungering. Otherwise, moving into your child's pose. When you do get there, just notice there's so many ways to be in this pose. And the simple kind of easy version is just head on the floor, arms relaxed. But some of us really enjoy weaving the arms inside of the knees. And if that bothers your neck, then don't do it. But it can feel very restful, very introverted. So once you get to your version, please spend a few breaths and really notice what's present in your heart, in your abdomen. And when you are ready to come up, if you're thinking to yourself, I'm not ready, stay in your resting pose. When you are ready to come up, please use that strong core cat back to bring yourself up. And we're going to come into a spinal twist. I'm going to take us today into a seated spinal twist, kind of very traditional version in yoga. You could be in just sort of easy pose instead, legs crossed, or you could be doing a reclined spinal twist, which is always awesome. But I wanted to share this with you today. So I'm going to have my left leg extended, bring my right foot in inside of my left knee. And I'm going to take my right hand behind for some support. And I want to make sure that I'm upright, that I'm not being kind of allowed to hunch back. Neck is easy. And then I want you to just think about it. It's as if you're pushing on a clutch with your left foot. So feel that left hip go forward. Take a nice inhale. As we exhale and begin this twist, we begin it from the very bottom, from that movement of the hips, and then strong core, like you're wringing a rag as I think of it. Bring those low abdominal muscles towards the spine and see if you can rotate your torso towards your right wall. I want you to keep your head in alignment with your chest for now. So we're not trying to look out over the shoulder. Whether you've got your hand on that right knee or an elbow hook, or you've brought your elbow to the outside, I want you to take deep inhale. Give it plenty of room. Is there more? Soft smile, soft gaze. Exhale, belly to spine, and rotate. Neck is easy. Inhale, give it room. Exhale, twist. As you do a few more like this, just try to be in an observation state. We've been talking a lot about swadhyaya in these recent classes and observing ourselves so we can notice. Is my tongue sandwiched against the roof of the mouth? Am I furrowing my eyebrows? The next time you twist, now invitation to hold. Make sure you're still upright and add the head and also your gaze. Look to the right side of your eyes. And release back to center. You might give yourself a little counter twist and then we'll switch. So again, you might be doing a reclined twist and finding your own version tonight. Otherwise, right leg extended, left foot flat, just inside the knee, left hand supports, shoulder heads anchor. So I'm already using those abdominal muscles to take me upright, right? I'm not just using that back arm to make it happen. Inhale, exhale, push the clutch on with the right leg and begin to draw those lower abdominal muscles and then progressively all the way up. Keeping the head in alignment with the chest as we inhale and release out of the twist a bit or a lot. Exhaling, rotating. They say about spinal twists that they can bring our pieces of self back together, which I just love. So if you've been feeling segmented, fragmented, this is a great place to call yourself back. Body, mind, and spirit, the wholeness that is yoga. So you might have started off with your hand on your left knee, but maybe you're getting looser and you could do an elbow hook. That can feel really nice to draw the chest up and to the left. Last time, and this time as you push that clutch on and you rotate, invitation to take the head looking over the left shoulder and gazing, turning the eyeballs into the left edge of the eye. And release. Brief little counter stretch. Oh, yeah. So hopefully you've maybe even got your block handy. I didn't really warn you. But if you don't have a block, you could be using, like a folded up towel or something. But we want to plant our feet and place that block right under the sacral triangle. And so we want to check in and make sure it's not on the vertebrae at all. It's, again, right at that top of the crack of the butt. And if having the knees bent feels preferred, great. This is a really great pose. But If you're able to straighten the legs and have it be comfortable, there's an added benefit to that deep stretch into that low abdominal area, which we've just been highlighting today and really trying to strengthen. We want this area to be strong, but we also want it to be fluid and flexible. It often becomes kind of just gripping and tight from sitting a lot. Also, if we've been under a lot of emotional stress, this kind of fight or flight is actually, they refer to the psoas as the fight or flight muscle. So let the breath massage that muscle. Nice deep abdominal breath. Staying here only as long as it feels really nourishing and therapeutic. And then coming off and giving yourself a little counter stretch, knees to belly, maybe a little rocking here. I want to do one last pose here for really stabilizing our spine, and it's bridge with our leg extensions. And I'm hoping after all this flow and warriors and stuff, your body's really awake and strong. But let's test it out. Come on up, hips raising, hands on hip bones. Don't have the feet very far apart. It makes it unnecessarily hard. And then absolutely slowly extend that right leg and hold. Notice, see if you can even out the hips if they dropped. And very slowly the other side. And if this is still too much, then you just want to hover the foot off the floor. Trying not to use the neck. It's really a challenge in this pose. In fact, I think I remember a student once going, "Is that possible?" I don't know. It's challenging. And releasing down, knees to belly. So we're going to come up to seated for a little pranayama practice. And you could be seated on your block, on a little folded up blanket, for example, or on your bolster. And if you've got a block and bolster, you might want to have them handy because I'm going to be inviting you to consider that nice supported reclined corpse over the bolster tonight if you've got one. If you happen to have any eucalyptus or peppermint essential oils or something like that as well, you could grab those. I've got my little bottle of Olbas Oil, O-L-B-A-S, and I want to just place a droplet of it in my palm. Usually it's your dominant hand. I'm using my right hand to do the work of this breath practice. I got a little too much, but it can be marvelous for opening the airways. And today we're practicing Nadi Shodhana, N-A-D-I. It basically means tube or channel. And the idea is that our whole body is made up of them. But this breath practice in particular is supposed to really help balance out the two brain hemispheres. So it's just a wonderful centering practice. And it gets easier if you've never done it before, you've only done it once. Sometimes it's a little like you get focused on the mechanics of it. But if you're familiar with this, go ahead and just start. I'm going to talk through it. Basically, we're going to take our fingers, if we can, into this position so that the middle and index finger are together and that I've got the pinky and ring finger together. And traditionally, in this breath, you would place the middle and index finger kind of right between the eyebrows. I like to just leave them upright and free floating. And it's allowing you to close one nostril with your thumb and the other nostril with the pinky and ring finger. If that's just feeling like too much right now, you can certainly just use your pinchy fingers. So make sure that you are seated upright and comfortable. The knees are no higher than the hips. And we're going to begin by closing the left nostril. Excuse me, the right nostril. Take a nice long inhale through the left. And in order to exhale, you're going to switch your closure. So you're now exhaling out your right nostril. Maintain your hand as you inhale. And in order to exhale, you switch. Maintain your hand position for the inhale. Is there more? And in order to exhale, you switch and close the other nostril. So we continue in this way. And initially, we want to just notice if we are stuffy. Are we struggling to draw breath past the stuffiness? Try to be patient and do it slowly. If you just can't get enough breath that way, then you might release the closure on the nostril so it's not complete, but just subtle. Asking of the breath, is there more? So that you're really witnessing the moment that inhale turns to exhale and vice versa. And if you lose your way or you don't remember where you are, don't worry, just begin again. And you're always just moving the hand or nostril closure in order to create the exhale. You might have your eyes closed or in a soft drishti gaze, kind of past your fingers towards the floor in front of you. Let's do just a few more. See if you can really be mentally present for these last few rounds. And we began by inhaling through the left nostril. When you finish exhaling through the right nostril, then just let the hands settle at the knees and witness breath through both nostrils. Can you feel the difference in temperature of the inhale from the exhale around the ring of the nostril? Again, if this is fairly new to you, it may not be quite as meditative or relaxing, but it can be a wonderful breath practice to return to. If you have a bolster, inviting you to bring it so that one end of it is up on the block. You could also just put some cushions or something to recline onto, but I'm hoping that you can find a position that allows your center body to be kind of supported by cushion and letting the arms just drape open. You could even use a rolled up yoga mat. Regardless, you might just be in our classic corpse pose. Perhaps you're reclined with your feet up a wall or on top of a couch. So please take your time, settle. You might cover with a shawl. Asking you to really tune in. First, turning the gaze up and in. Softening all the muscles of the face, including the tongue. Letting go of all breath control. So we invite our breath to settle into the soft, passive breath of a baby sleeping. Inviting you to first witness the back body. Scan all the places that your back body is in contact with the bolster, the floor, and so on. And over these next few breaths, make it your intention that on the exhale, you're giving even more of your weight to those points of contact, to those objects of support. Is there any part of you that is in holding? The neck, the belly, the thighs? If you find it difficult to let go, again, you might tighten everything as we did in rock pose earlier. And then from there, let go completely. With each exhale, sinking more deeply with gravity. There's nothing to know, do, or accomplish. If you sense that you are deeply introverted and could stay in a longer shavasana, then please do. If you feel ready to move off of your mat into the flow of life, as I think of it, I'd love for you to just reflect a moment. What part of yourself do you want to share with the world? Perhaps with someone that you live with or someone that you might communicate with by phone later on, or perhaps tomorrow when you picture yourself moving into the flow of life tomorrow. Is there anything in particular that you want to offer, that you want to be your gift or contribution? And don't worry if there is no huge aha answer. I would suggest that one gift that is so simple and powerful for us to give, if we just remember, is taking a deep breath in someone's presence, particularly a sighing breath. And we've actually been able to study that hearing someone else sighing or breathing deeply can calm our own amygdala and our own nervous system and our own stress response. So that might be your gift, your commitment to take your own deep breaths and therefore offer it to others. I thank you so, so much for joining me at the mat. Really an honor to be with you. I hope you had a great practice. It was perfect, whatever it is. I hope you went into some resting poses. I'm going to be closing the practice with the singing bowl, 3 strikes. And if you enjoy oming, encouraging you to do that and really feel your vibration moving with that of the bowl. Nice long inhale. Om Shanti Shanti. Om Peace, Peace.